Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel for another Marvel Contest of Champions news for the 22nd of October 2018. I fixed the cam, which is great because it was doing my head in. But in any case, let's get into the news. Roll the title sequence. Yes, it's the start of a brand new week, so there's some news stories to cover. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff isn't really like huge news for the community, which is annoying, but at least it's keeping you up to date on opinion polls and things going on with other players and keeping the community locked down with stuff that we're up to. So without further ado, let's get into it. First story sees us over to the forum for an opinion poll, and this is based on what champions we feel as a community are the best for like attacking kind of an offensive point of view since the start of the year, basically. A lot of the champions that are on there are pretty strong contenders, but at the moment it does seem quite strongly for Domino, but mainly for Crovus, who's recently been in the arena. Currently at the point of recording this video, he is in the arena. The round 2 is going on quite strong. We will be covering that with regards to predictions and whether or not I got it wrong or right for my predictions for round 1 and seeing if we can replicate that in round 2. Either way, it does look like Crovus has it as one of the baddest Mama Jammers that has just ever been entered into 2018, and I have to avoid that level of cringe from saying Mama Jammers. Our second story sees us over for a little bit of an opinion, but kind of suggestions and request, and that is on buffing champions. As we know, Kabam like to buff champions now and again. The most recent ones were Venom and Carnage, and it's probably the reason that Carnage has such a high charting for his arena placement this week for round 1. However, though, this is mainly focused on Iron Fist. As we know, the Netflix series Season 2 is just finished, and unfortunately it looks like it's been cancelled. And whether or not this is to coincide with rumours of the Disney streaming service and a strong Marvel contingent that's going to be put onto that service, and maybe a potential Heroes for Hire with Luke Cage, as Luke Cage has been cancelled as well on Netflix. I'm personally pretty gutted about that. Season 1 and Season 2 were really strong deliveries in my opinion from Netflix and the whole construction of that series. I really do hope that we see both actors from Iron Fist as well as Luke Cage make some sort of appearance in the Disney side of things when they launched that in early 2019. However, I feel that this does coincide with that, in that Iron Fist would be really decent to be represented in a more stronger fashion in the game. Most of the people commenting on this forum post do agree they'd love to see some significant changes to Iron Fist. We've all seen the TV series. We know his potential as a character, and unfortunately it's one of these things where Kabam's representation of source material from the comic books, from their own knowledge, from TV shows, from films, whatever, sometimes doesn't always translate into the game, which does lead that frustration with the player base. For example, Sentry, and for example, Red Skull. Kabam Porthos, missing a load of the other Musketeers, responds back and basically solidifies what we've just discussed and the whole kind of scheme of things, in that, yeah, he likes Iron Fist, he hasn't developed him even further, and it's kind of, well, funny to think that Kabam employees that do play the game are then going like, well, I wouldn't develop X champion because of Y reason. That's kind of weird and defeating the idea of that. We can have Cyclops as a really strong attacking champion choice for Alliance Wars. I mean, do they recommend it? Do they do it themselves? Probably not. But it is good to see some sort of response from Kabam on the subject. If it's just some developer with their own opinions, then again, that's fine. Hopefully it's one of these things where we can, get this ball rolling with champion improvements, especially older champions being put into the new state of the meta. Encouraging people to use those champions that even Kabam have the statistics. They know certain champions that are not being used that much, and Iron Fist has got to be one of them. So hopefully in the future we could see some old champion improvements, but I wouldn't count your chickens or your hens before they've laid eggs. That took a while to get out. Either way, Kabam Porthos is being given praise here for responding back with non kind of robotic response. But the other thing, I'm throwing it off to you, leaving thoughts in the comment section. What do you think? Should Iron Fist be given a buff? Do you like the idea of the glowing fist that's able to do an extensive amount of damage? Is that a bit of a shame not to be seen quite represented in the game? Do you think that the older champions, where we've had, say, Netflix series and their popularity's increased, should therefore be a good shout for them to be brought into the current meta of the game? Round off in the comment section or go to the forum post and have your say on the subject. Next up, and I didn't really cover this because there wasn't enough news to kind of formulate something unless I do some sort of breaking news type thing, but 5-star Vision entered into the offers again. The only difference is it wasn't 15,000 units, it was 5,000 units. So depreciation is a thing. If you're not familiar with depreciation, how it basically works is if you buy a car, say you buy absolutely brand spanking new, so it's just been created, come off of the factory line, and you were the first owner of said car. As soon as you drive it off of said car lot or car garage or whatever it is in your country, its value has now depreciated, which means that if you then went to sell it back to the dealer based on the fact that you didn't like it anymore, you wouldn't get the same amount. You get a fraction of it. That's depreciation. The time and value of something based on wear and tear, blah, 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 blah. I could further explain myself. But the fact is, in-game, you buy a 5-star Vision at 15k units. Flash forward, he's only worth 5,000 now. This is an ongoing trend, so I would say to anybody that was thinking to himself, hey, I've got 15,000 units, should I be bothering to get this 5-star champion? No, save your units. Well, if you had 15,000 units, obviously you'd be selling 5. But the fact is, if you've got 15,000 units spare, save them. There's probably going to be a 6-star Vision next year. It's just how it goes. And then the following year, 7-star Vision. Following year, 8-star Vision, if the game's still running. 9-star Vision. You know, it will just continue on and on and on. Same story, different year, different thing. If you're looking for a cheaper version to grab, maybe grab them now. If the 5 stars are still of value in the future, then maybe grab them then. But they'll probably be 6 stars. Either way, I think the community has responded very differently to this offer. Some have seen this as really great value. Some going, I'll keep my units, and others going, I wouldn't spend even if you paid me. And I still wouldn't spend even if you paid me. Next up, I'm going to continue on this kind of like little Steve thing, this whole thing about symbiotes, and I love this. It's basically like a symbiote meme thread, and this one has kind of like blown up a little bit, and it's not as popular as the meme thread, but I like this as kind of like a seasonal meme, if you get what I mean, or get what I mean. We've got like a really decent kind of poster here. We've got the picture with like going to a theme park. We've got Tony Stark there, the symbiote. I think this has kind of like touched a lot of people's kind of funny bones this month, and it's really nice and refreshing to see something unique. And you know, we've got one of the best communities that are out there for games. Everyone, I'd say, like in most other games, you get people trolling one another. You like got people like having a go at one another, going like, "Oh, you're a noob." But this community is actually pretty good. It's really good at supporting one another, which I think is really good. Whenever anybody comes to me with a problem about the game or from a point of, say, personal burnout, then it's good to kind of share my own thought process, as well as people outside the game talking in person about my experiences in the game and their experiences. It's really nice and shows that this community is fantastic. And I love stuff like this. I think this just speaks to such a really thoughtful community and also funny community at the same time, because we've got to have a sense of humor at the end of the day. Next up, we've got a story all about Infinity Streaks, an opinion poll in that people have said resoundingly that they would not like to continue on with Arena if they did not continue with the streaks. And these are basically the win streaks based on certain amounts of defeats of enemies, that then you'll get more easier fights based on certain kind of building up to that point, whether or not there's some sort of theory of taking 330 champions and kind of doing up to a certain point and then continue on with 440s, and then after that 330s or higher. There's a lot of different theories on Infinity Streaks and how to obtain them. Nowadays it's a little bit more difficult with 565 5 stars being put into the game, and they're more common, so therefore it frustrates the kind of algorithm that Kabam put in. There's loads of other excuses, but Kabam say that that is the reason. I don't know if people largely believe that, but we'll, you know, we hope that that would improve in the future, but it doesn't look like it. So for a lot of players that then lose their win streaks, I guess it's very frustrating, and so much so that a resounding no for if that was a continuation thing that they couldn't get infinity streaks, they would not be interested in arena grinding anymore. But if you have an opinion on the matter, then put it into the post thread. The link is in the description below. Next up, and a story which is, well, it's another community story at the end of the day, and this one here, talking about noob mistakes when you first joined the game. Things that you did which maybe you shouldn't, and I like a lot of this stuff. It's quite good to then put it into a video, because then it allows people to not make mistakes in game, especially for beginners, like things that maybe they should have known but don't know or wouldn't think to know if they didn't read something like this. So if you're very new to the game, do consider going over to the link in the description below. It will take you to this about noob mistakes in game, and hopefully you can learn a little bit that maybe you didn't know before. A lot of them are about building rosters and building them successfully around, say, lead champions, successful champions, really strong champions. But there are a few kind of like little things, like someone said they didn't join an alliance for the first 5 months of playing the game. Some are saying about, you know, parry and evade and not kind of utilizing that at all in the first, say, year, maybe even 2 years in some cases. Spicy Knight says installing the game, which is kind of defeats the object of being on the forum talking about it. I think he's just doing that for lol, so we'll give him a partial credit. But one of the top things, and one of the things I used to do quite a bit, but it was in an old meta of the game, when there was no future in sight, especially because it was 2015, or January 2015, and there was a lot of things that needed to kind of like change with the game. But spending units on premium hero crystals and things with mastery builds being put second, I think that took me a good, must be about 5 to 6 months to realize that. But there wasn't really that many kind of improvements with mastery, so I guess I'll give myself a, you know, just light telling off. Either way, what has been your biggest mistake when you decided to take up the game, or something you didn't learn which you then learn in the future? Put it in the comment section, or go to the forum post and put it in the post. Now to our final story, and probably the most important story, and that is arena cutoffs. As we know, we had Crovus Glaive enter the basic, and as well we had Carnage in the featured. Carnage at the 5-star featured went for more than I predicted, which I apologize if anybody did follow that. I think I said about 25 mil. He ended up going for 29 mil, which does go to show that the increase in popularity based on his changes has made him a little bit more interesting to the community. Unfortunately for his 4-star predecessor, that is not the case, because he has gone for 5.3, which I think was close to what I said. I think I said about 6 mil, or 5.6 to 6 mil. I think that was around about it. Unfortunately though, I was dead wrong. Well, I wasn't dead wrong. I did say something along the lines of going for up to about 4 mil. So if anybody followed the latter and went for 4 mil, then you got him. But apologies if anybody went for 3.6, as I think I said. Either way, 4 mil is going to set you right, hopefully, for the round 2 of the results. Hopefully that is the case, 4 mil being the cutoff there. But I'd probably go about 4.1 to be safe. However, when it comes to the 4-star Carnage, 5.3, anything between 5.5 to 5.6 if you want him, that's probably be a thing. And 31 mil, I think, to be safe for the 5-star version, but I see that dropping down to at least about 26. Based on people's bit kind of like shock, hey, you went for a little bit more than I would normally grind out, especially for a 5-star. Like, it still isn't like great for the changes that we made, but still the community like him enough to give him a 29 mil for the grind. So that's been your Marvel Contest of Champions news for Monday the 22nd of October 2018. Have a lovely week, whatever you're doing, whether it's work, whether or not you're off work, it's holiday, don't know, half term, something like that. In any case, I've been RichTheMan, and like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.